Hello, namaste. Welcome to the introduction to Upadeṣa-Undiyar, which means the essence of instruction, by Bhagavān Śrī Rāmaṇa Mahārṣi. This is a very wonderful and important book, and it's extremely appropriate for the situation today. And you'll see as we get into it how nicely it addresses the major issues in spirituality all over the world today. So Ramana was very perceptive, and he knew which teaching would be appropriate for us, and he got it exactly right. But first of all, I want to clarify my position and my concept of what I'm doing here, because some people don't get it. Like one guy wrote me last week, he said, "I've been following you since esoteric teaching days, and you keep trying to be a guru, but you're not a guru, and blah, 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 and you're not a teacher, and you're not qualified, and da, 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 blah." On and on and on. And he's right. But he's a little late. I resigned as guru about exactly 7 years ago. No, 6 years ago. In 2011. And this guy's just getting around to it now. I mean, even my so-called disciples at the time, it took them 6 months to realize that I meant it. I don't get it. It's like once somebody becomes a guru, they're going to like cling to that like a rock. No. Not if it's not working. And it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work and why gurus fail so often, tragically, I mean, look at Osho and, so many others, is because in reality there are no gurus and disciples. In reality, we're all the same. We're all just Brahman, but covered over by different sheaths and shells and upadis. And we'll get into that in a minute. But first I want to say, I'm not a guru. I haven't been a guru since 2011. Wake up, people. And I'm not a teacher either, because as Ramana points out, a teacher means that you have to transfer something from one person to another, some knowledge, some information. And that's what we're not doing. We're not doing that here. What are we doing? We're trying to help you remove the blocks to your enlightenment. In other words, in our conception, you're already enlightened. Why is that? Because enlightenment is eternal. That means forever in the past, now in the present, and forever in the future. So we're going to dissect all the wrong views about enlightenment. That's what this introduction is really for. But the idea is, in other words, I'm not a guru, I'm not a teacher. I'm a student. I'm a student of this teaching, Ramana's teaching. And maybe I'm a little bit more advanced because I have more background than most people. That's an advantage. Because what I'm really doing here is explaining this just to make sure that I understand it myself. And that has been my approach for the last 5 years worth of videos that you can see on this channel, going all the way back to matrix learning and like that, foundation series. I'm simply explaining my understanding to make sure I understand it myself. So, in other words, this is not a power trip. This is not about making an organization, collecting disciples, collecting money, or any of that. Please don't look at it that way. That's not what it's about. And how can I be a teacher? I don't have any students. I'm all alone here. And I intend to remain that way. I'm a hermit. And I love it. So leave me alone already. Anyway, I want to make sure that I understand it, because if you have some difficulty explaining something to another person, it means you don't get it. And certainly if you have difficulty practicing something, you don't get it. So the verification is, you can verify all of this stuff that I'm saying very easily. Go back, study the source materials, study Ramana's teachings, study Ramana's books, and practice it yourself, and then see, do I really know what I'm talking about or not? That's the only way. If you just come with an attitude and an opinion, you're not a guru, you're not a teacher, that's bullshit. I call it right out of the can, it's bullshit. Okay, so in one sense, all words about enlightenment especially are bullshit. Because why? Enlightenment is beyond words, it can't be expressed in words. Brahman is beyond all names and forms. So what are we doing? Finger pointing to the moon. That's it. You want enlightenment? Go that way. That's all I'm doing. I'm a traveler by the side of the road, just like you, and you're asking me for directions. I say, go that way. That's all. It's not a big deal, people. And I certainly don't cling to any designation like guru, teacher, senior disciple, or no. See, people who get involved in organizations get attached to these titles, and it skews their perception to the point of where they're defending their title and acting according to what they think their position or title should be, instead of just being themselves and sharing their experience, which is what I'm doing. So, hey, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it, right? Get lost. So, now for the people who really want to understand this, see, this is a matter of integrity. I'm not going to discuss something unless I've experienced it myself. Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about ultimate enlightenment, because first of all, there is no. There ain't no such thing. Enlightenment is a journey that goes on forever. And if it wasn't that way, it wouldn't be worth pursuing, because anything with a beginning also has an end. So if enlightenment has to begin at some point in time, that means it's not permanent. And we're not interested in that. We already got a bunch of impermanent stuff. That's why we're suffering. And we want to get past that to the real thing. So as a matter of personal integrity, I only explain the things that I'm actively studying and have realized or experienced for myself. Otherwise, it's just phony, right? So anyway, there's too much phoniness in the world already. Too many people running around doing seminars who aren't realized, but they're very good at handling people, that's all. And so they'll stroke your ego and you feel, oh yes, this is wonderful, Guruji, And then there's all this posturing, but none of it is real, none of it is authentic or sincere. So we're not into that. That's why we don't go to groups, we don't join organizations or create them anymore. We learned that lesson 6, 7 years ago. So that's finished. Now, let's get on with this, okay? Upadeṣa. Upadeṣa means instruction. And if you actually dissect the word upa, means coming closer. And desha means a location, a place. So upadeṣa is what brings you closer to your destination. And sometimes the word Undiyar, it's a Tamil word, is translated the essence, Sara in Sanskrit. The same book is also known as Upadeṣa-Sara in Sanskrit. So in Tamil it's Upadeṣa-Undiyar. And it was written by Śrī Rāmaṇa about 1934 with the help and consultation of Sri Muruganar. Sri Muruganar was really his first and principal disciple in many ways. And he was a great scholar, a wonderful poet. He had so many good qualities. So he helped Ramana write his early books and certainly helped him become established as a teacher. Because if a person of the stature of Muruganar became his disciple, then who wouldn't, right? So anyway, the essence of instruction is about right view. Now in the Buddha's teaching is the Eightfold Path. And the very first step is right view. The last step is right concentration, which leads to enlightenment. That's the 8th step of the Eightfold Path. But the first step is right view. And this is what everybody gets wrong. They take some half-baked theories and some popularizations of the actual view, misunderstand it, and then go running with that up the other stages, trying to get to right livelihood, right effort, and so on, until they reach right concentration, and then they fall down. Boom. Let me tell you a funny story. About a month ago, I went out to get something to eat one night, and I was doing intense sadhana of Gayatri mantra at the time. So here I am sitting in the restaurant waiting for my food, chanting Gayatri, just blissing out. I was totally ecstatic. And next to me is this couple. I think she was from Amsterdam, and he's a medical student, PhD from London. And so they're talking, they're checking each other out, right? And it's like, well, what do you do? Oh, well, I do medical research. And before that, I was a monk for 5 years. Oh, you were a monk, really? Yeah, but I am, she asked him, why did you leave being a monk, right? And he's like, and I could hear the real answer, which was, because I want a girlfriend. So anyway, there they are hunting for a girlfriend and boyfriend in the restaurant. So what do you do? Well, what's your research all about? Well, I'm exploring using meditation to heal brain damage in multiple sclerosis patients. And I'm going, what? This guy has been a monk for 5 years. 5 years. I mean, that's long enough to attain enlightenment. I went all through 4 paths in 5 years and more. But this guy sounds like he doesn't even have first path, because he's saying meditation. He wants to use meditation to cure brain damage in multiple sclerosis, children with multiple sclerosis. So, I mean, that's like using an interstellar spaceship to go down to the corner and pick up a 6-pack of beer. You know what I mean? I mean, meditation is so powerful if you understand it rightly. Why would you use it for any mundane purpose? Wrong view. The guy has wrong view. Of course he failed as a monk. He has a completely wrong view of meditation. I'm sorry. So, in this book, Sri Bhagavān is going to give us the right view. But first, we have to deconstruct all the wrong views. And the wrong views fall into 4 categories. all of them are called upādhi. Upādhi is sometimes translated limiting adjunct. Sri Bhagavan used to call it superimposition. That's a good translation, superimposition, because everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. But superimposed over it are these upadis, these differences and other things. It's really just ignorance, okay? Just ignorance. So we see all kinds of names and forms and actions and movements and locations and stuff and things and whatever. Individuals and personalities and so on. But it's all just upādhi. It's all just wrong view. So let me read the technical definition of upādhi. A superimposed thing or attribute that veils and gives a colored view of the substance beneath it. A limiting adjunct. Look up that word adjunct. It's interesting. An instrument, a vehicle, a body. A technical term used in Vedanta philosophy for any superimposition that gives a limited view of the absolute and makes it appear as the relative. Jiva's upādhi is avidya, nescience or ignorance. Ishwara's upādhi is maya. Very powerful statements, very powerful views. So, jiva is already an upādhi. Jiva means reflection of Brahman in the tiny mirror of a mind and ego, personality. Like the reflection of the moon in a tiny puddle after a rainstorm. It looks like the moon, but it's not the moon. And it can't be used for the purposes of the moon either, which is to give coolness and a heavenly destination and so on. So similarly, the jiva, the individual being, is a reflection of Brahman in the limited space of the mind and personality. It's an upādhi, something that covers the substrate. The real substrate of consciousness. And like a pair of blinders, you can only see a narrow range of vision through the consciousness of a jiva, although that consciousness is absolutely qualitatively identical with Brahman. So, from the point of view of Brahman, the upādhi is maya, the illusory potency that creates all of these individual, limited beings and their infinitesimal consciousness out of the one whole of all consciousness with objectless awareness. That's Brahman. So the difference is, Brahman is in control of Maya. Maya is also known as the goddess, his pleasure potency. So it's just Maya's play, Maya's entertainment, all this manifestation, all this what we call suffering and bondage and release. The whole drama is simply play, lila. That's not serious. Don't take it serious. Brahman doesn't. It's just entertainment. It's just to pass the time. So don't get caught up in these pastimes. Instead, realize your identity with Brahman and be free. That's the process of self-realization. So, meanwhile, we have 4 types or classifications of false paths to enlightenment. And these once you hear them, you'll be able to understand, are like 99% of everything that's promoted as self-realization, enlightenment, meditation, religion, and so forth. So let's go through them. 4 wrong processes of self-realization. The right process of self-realization is simply removing the upādhi, removing the blocks to our clear view of self as Brahman. And the wrong views, the wrong paths, the counterfeit paths to enlightenment are of 4 types: production, transformation, purification, and acquisition. So I'm going to briefly explain these, and then to recognize them in various teachings is an exercise for the viewer. Okay. So first of all, production. Production means that enlightenment is something new. We're going to produce or create or manufacture or make enlightenment. Huh? Abracadabra. Poof, I'm enlightened. So this is wrong because, as I mentioned in the beginning, enlightenment has to be eternal, beginningless, unlimited in the present, and endless in the future. Otherwise, it's not really enlightenment. It's something else. Anything that has a beginning has an end. So if our enlightenment has a beginning, if it has to be created somehow, then it will also have an end. So whatever it is, seeing lights, feeling energy rushes in the body, kundalini, so many things, samadhi, all of these things have a beginning and an end. They're limited. They can't be made permanent because their nature is not fully Brahman. They may be a better or more accurate or more powerful reflection of Brahman. But they're still an upādhi. They're still a narrowed view. They're still not the real thing. So the next one is transformation. We hear this a lot in New Age circles. Oh, the transformation that's going to bring you to enlightenment. No. What are we going to transform that becomes enlightenment? The ego? The mind? The body? Come on. It's not possible. How can you transform something which is of the essence of an upādhi, a block to perception of Brahman? How can you transform that into something that reveals Brahman? It's not possible. Not possible. So anyone who claims a process of transformation is simply going around in circles. I'm going to transform this into that, then I'm going to transform that into something else, and then I'm going to transform that back into what it was in the beginning. So that's why these people never attain enlightenment. Transformation people, the secret and all of that. So then there's purification. Now, many paths of religion talk about purification, but the same argument applies. You're going to purify what into what? You're going to purify the mind into Brahman? Come on, it's not possible. The mind is exactly what is blocking Brahman from our vision. For example, I was talking with my friend last night, and he was talking about trying to see light in meditation. And he says, you know, I'm really trying hard to see the light, but somehow it's escaping me. And I'm going, of course, the harder you try, the more elusive the light is going to be, because trying, the very effort of trying, creates mental mass. The very desire to see the light creates thoughts that get in the way of seeing it. I want to see the light. I want to see it really bad. But if you can simply focus the mind, focus the attention rather, focus the awareness on Brahman without desire, without effort, all these blocks will clear away and the light will come all by itself. So similarly with acquisition, I'm going to get enlightenment. I'm going to attain enlightenment. I'm going to achieve enlightenment. You hear yogis talk this way a lot because their process is based on will. I'm going to do pranayama until I turn blue. Oh, you're going to become Krishna, right? No, it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because we already have it. We already have enlightenment. How can we acquire something we already have? It's nonsense. So, these are just the simple explanations, and we'll go into it deeply while we're going through the book. Meanwhile, just try to consider this. I'm just a friend, and I'm just sharing what I'm doing because it's beautiful and I love it, and I want you to have it too and enjoy it and get the benefit that I have from this wonderful teaching. So please, don't approach me like a guru or a teacher or any kind of authority or anything like that. I'm not a representative of any organization. I'm not trying to build a group or anything like that. I mean, if you want to come here and counsel, get counseling, that's fine. I'll try my best to encourage you and expose you to the authentic sources of these teachings. But I'm not any kind of authority, and I'm not trying to run any kind of trip on anybody. I just want to share what has been so wonderful for me and such a blessing in my life. So please take this video in that spirit, and then we'll get along fine, okay? Namaste, Tat Sat, Om Harihi Om.